Hi there and welcome to Startup Central. I'm Nayantara. It's the only show of its kind in Indian television dedicated to, well, as the name suggests, we talk about startups, innovation, technology, entrepreneurship. Basically, if it falls under the gambit of the new economy, it's going to be here on your favorite channel, ET Now, every weekday at sharp 6 p.m. Like all the stakeholders of the community that we get on the show, the team that puts the show together, the Startup Central team, thrives on constructive criticism. So keep writing into us. We love praises, but we really want feedback on how to take the show to the next level. Our email address right on top, suc@etnow.tv. Ratan Tata's association, mentorship, and even handing out checks to startups is very well documented. He used to often go to Instagram and talk about some of those investments, and here's the latest one. It's called Goodfellows, and there's something which Ratan Tata said is very close to him because it's going to be pairing older people, senior citizens with younger people and companions. It's a big opportunity out there. Your TAM, if you want to call it that, in the language very often used by startups, VCs, etc., is massive. Now, the founder of this startup called Goodfellows is Shantanu Naidu. He's in fact the general manager at Mr. Ratan Tata's office as well. He's now live with us today on Startup Central. Shantanu, thank you so much for giving us time and for being here with us. It's a fantastic initiative launched by Mr. Ratan Tata himself. Tell us more about it.
Thank you for having me. And it's a great privilege to be able to talk about it to such a large audience. I think the startup stems from a lot of personal experiences as well as a problem that's persistent in India. The personal experiences is this general sense of gravitation that I have towards the elderly, be it their sense of innocence or them living moment to moment or knowing what really matters in the end because of the sea of wisdom that they have through sheer experience. And to couple that with the fact that there are 15 million elderlies in India living by themselves, that was according to the 2018 census, and that number is expected to grow. So all these elderlies are by themselves for various reasons, families moving away to other countries or families passing on or partners passing on. So my experience, my personal experiences with intergenerational friendships have been so rich because you're literally taking the two extreme generations and putting them together, which means the richness and the diversity that a relationship like that brings in companionship is very different and very unique. As far as the elderly are concerned, they get to live life again through the young person's eyes. And as far as the youth is concerned, they sort of orient themselves in terms of values, stay grounded, and understand what really matters in the long run. So that's what's prompted Goodfellows.
It's really a lovely initiative and something that is needed. If you'll permit me to ask this question, was this your idea? Was this Mr. Ratan Tata's idea? How closely did you both work on it? It has been reported that he's also, is an investor in Goodfellows.
Right. So it was my idea, but ever since I even thought of it, I kept running it past him to get feedback from time to time, and he always answered whatever questions I had and pointed me in the right direction sometimes. Gave some blunt truths sometimes, which has helped me develop this model. And yes, you're correct. He is the primary investor right now. He's a seed investor. It's a token investment. So that really helps us bolster the team, have faith in this concept. And now with Mr. Tata's support, we have the credibility and we intend to live up to that reputation.
You work so closely with him. So tell us, when you say he's brutal with his feedback, how brutal does Mr. Tata get when he's mentoring someone, when he's giving feedback?
I think the word I should have used is just honest, and it's really doing the person a service when he's the recipient of the feedback because it's black and white, and that's the kind of feedback that will help you move forward the most. Just before you started this show, you said you guys appreciate constructive criticism at your own show. So it's not very different from that.
I know, but I have to say one thing. You made your boss your primary investor in your startup as well, Shantanu. You love challenges, clearly.
Oh, yes, I do. Uh, but the initiative itself is a challenge, not because we don't believe in it, but because it's never been done before. And as with anything that's never been done before, there are certain things that you have to pave the way for. You have to sort of pioneer the industry. And that's why we are prepared. We are prepared for it. And like I said, Mr. Tata's investment is a great show of strength for us. And we are confident we'll get over it.
So tell me, Sab, tell us more about how it's going to work. The press release says it's been in beta mode, it's been in test mode, it's going to be rolled out now in Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Bengaluru, a couple of cities to start with. How exactly is it going to
Right.
work? How will you map this?
So we've been active in Mumbai, but under the radar. We finished our beta a while ago, actually, and then we unofficially started rolling out the services even without the launch. And we've had an overwhelming response just by sheer word of mouth, because the greatest credibility that comes for a demographic like the elderly generation is the validation of another elderly person, which is why word of mouth is such a strong source of reliability and credibility in this space. And that has sort of sailed us through, and the demand has kept coming through exponentially. But now that we've launched in the last 24 hours, the kind of overwhelming influx of requests that we have is exactly why I didn't launch for a few months, because I wanted to first create a small army of Goodfellows, as we call them, who are the young graduates that get paired with the elderly. So it was important for us to have that human capital ready at hand when we launched, because we were expecting exactly this kind of thing, a huge influx of requests and the elderly wanting companionship. So even today, all day, I've been fielding calls about different requests, pairing them with the different good fellows we have. And in terms of scalability, every city is different culturally, and cultural influence will have a deep impact on how we scale up. So I can't say that the response that we've had in a metropolitan city like Mumbai, which is diverse in its culture and its people, will be the same execution in Pune, for example, which is more unicultural. So we are definitely going to go ahead and do it no matter what, but it will definitely not be scalable like a startup that's offering a product or a more mundane service, since this is based more on emotion, based more on empathy, and that is something you can't really manufacture or create quickly. You have to take your time and choose the right people.
Right. But if you could tell us a little bit more about how the mapping works, because that's going to be very, very important. And I'll tell you why I asked this question as well. I was very lucky to have my grandparents for very long. My grandfather crossed the age of 90. I come from a large Punjabi family. I was very close to, my grandparents' siblings as well. I come from a typically large Punjabi family. I love old people. I very often do volunteer work for them. Um, is it me kind of people that you are targeting? How are you going to make younger people aware of it? For example, in the West, it's considered to be very much a volunteering service to do when you have school children, college children, even those in their 20s who go to elderly homes, they go to hospitals, and they do volunteer work. So how are you going to get the good fellows on your platform?
Right. That's an excellent question, and I'm going to enjoy answering that. First, to address the last part of your question, which was when you talked about the West, where 20 somethings sort of volunteer for companionship for the elderly in old age homes, etc. As much as elderly loneliness is an issue everywhere, in the US, culturally, they are sort of grown up to be independent, and they expect to be by themselves by the time they reach that particular age. And that sort of sense of mental independence allows them to be by themselves and still enjoy life. And like you said, people like you and me who are so culturally entwined in terms of a joint family or the togetherness factor, we don't have that same Western sense. which I think in our case is a plus. But the good fellows that we are recruiting, yes, to answer directly, it is people like you. It is people who have a general sense of affection towards the elderly, who have sensitivity towards the elderly. And we go through a rigorous 7 round process almost to ensure that that sensitivity is real, it's not manufactured or pretense. And that is how we bring these good fellows on board. But the conversion rate is so low, almost from 600 applicants, we end up choosing six, and we are okay with that kind of a slow scale up because the shoulders of these sensitive people are what this entire concept and organization depends on. But additionally, there's a national trend where millennials and younger are looking for jobs that give them a sense of fulfillment, that make them feel that they're impacting and changing something when they go to work every day. So that kind of blends into the kind of people we're looking for, because the employees we have today have stayed from this time that we had nothing, only because the kind of impact we're creating makes them feel like they're contributing directly to an impact or to a particular person's life. So that has been the center of attraction for the youth that has joined us as Goodfellows.
And going forward, is this only going to be for like companionship for senior citizens? There are so much more that you can do, whether it is help to take them to hospitals, because unlike the West, we don't really have the infrastructure here, right? And neither are our elderly, due to cultural reasons, used to being alone. So there's a lot that you can do to scale up this app. There are obvious synergies as well. Which is the obvious direction do you see it headed?
So everything that you just mentioned is already included. We focus on companionship more because that is something that nobody has ventured into in the elder care space, because it's a little complicated and it takes time and effort and human emotion to build something like that. But our sort of underlying motto is we do everything a grandkid does. So a grandkid would take their grandfather or grandmother to the hospital for groceries, for banking, and those are responsibilities that we already cover today. So we don't have a finite list of services, and that is something we've established on purpose because we don't want to make it transactional. We don't want to say these are the 10 things we do. Everything outside of that we don't do. So it'll be a call in the middle of the night or going to some place or even escorting them to a friend that they are a little concerned about walking on the streets. Every single thing that a grandkid would do, we would do as well. So, but to answer your question about direction, we are looking to venture into travel space where the elderly can have curated travel plans along with the companion to see and explore the places that they really want to visit. Because as time goes by and as they get even more senior, the challenges physically and even the mental blocks of no, I cannot travel sort of start kicking in, which is really sad because now is when they have the most time and now is when they should travel and see the world a little bit.
Yeah.
So to sort of enter that space, we are looking at that step.
So tell me something, Shantanu. One of the challenges, of course, is going to be, and it may not be for a long time, but for now, when you start off, the senior citizens of today, the super senior citizens of today, they may be the last few generations from urban centers who may not be that familiar with technology. Is Mr. Ratan Tata good with technology? Did he give you some brutal feedback of how you could get the senior citizens and super senior citizens to embrace tech and to use tech to their advantage?
I think we should just leave it to their comfort. Some people on a scale of 10 like to be a 5 in technology, some want to be 10 on 10, and some are just happy not dealing with technology at all. And at this stage of life, I don't think they should or shouldn't do anything as per anybody else's wishes. I feel that some people really want to explore technology, and we help them learn that technology through our Goodfellows. That is definitely one of the areas we get a lot of requests for. But some people are happy not knowing anything and letting someone else do it for them. So I think it's the balance of both. But just to clear out, this is not a
Hmm.
technological platform. This is not an app. We do have a website for the sons and daughters to sort of sign on and see what's going on so they can sign their parents or grandparents up. But the primary way of reaching us is either to sort of send us a WhatsApp or call us on a particular hotline we have. And I have intentionally kept it that way despite the heavy influx of calls we get, because if you are building a company around empathy, you cannot possibly do it through technology. You need to have that phone conversation, which then converts into a face-to-face conversation where I myself go down and see them first for the first time. Or in fact, I also send my core team to go and see them for the first time. So I want it to be personal from start to end, because the only way to make it authentic is to actually be authentic. And that's what I'm trying to do.
How will you monetize this startup?
Right. So we have a premium subscription model wherein the first month is especially free, because I want them to experience it and understand and tell me themselves whether this is adding any value in their lives at all. On day 30 of the first 3 months, if it's not adding any value, they're absolutely free to discontinue and not go through. But because this has never been done before, the only way you can tell if this is helpful is if you experience it. So the first month is for that. From the second one, we have an affordable fee for pensioners, which is an evolving number. But so far, we haven't had any complaints about affordability, especially because we've kept the bar so low that almost everyone can afford it. And all of the funds that come in as revenue get plowed back into the organization to be
What is
able
low?
to hire more good fellows. So, and those funds are
How
primarily
much is it priced at?
utilized.
What is low?
It's very personalized. So I really, if I throw out a number and if it doesn't match someone I speak tomorrow, that might be a mismatch that I'll have to deal with. So I would rather not mention that number, but it can go as low as in the early thousands, depending on what they're expecting of us or how much time they want to spend with us. But like again,
Okay.
I would like to emphasize that the primary reason for these funds is to
Yeah.
pay respectable salaries to the young graduates that we hire, because we want them to stay on and we want them to have a career ladder, because they have given up their primary jobs and they are the employees of this organization now. So if they have chosen such a altruistic career ladder, it is only fair that they get compensated dignified salaries so that they can focus on the elderly and not think about their financial troubles. And additionally, it is important that the same people that the elderly bond with keep going to their place. I don't want a different person going to their place every time, because that does not allow for authentic bonding, authentic friendships. It does not give you the time and space to sort of create that trust and organically develop a bond between the two. So for these reasons, it is a subscription model that is paid. But like I said, we will keep striving to subsidize it. We will keep striving to keep the bar lower. But it is important for those funds to come in so that we can sustain it and we can help more elders in that sense.
And this is your second startup, right? Because the first one, another initiative so close to my heart as well, I'm a dog lover, Motorpaws, where you were feeding animals living on the streets, including dogs. I saw photographs of cats as well. How's that one doing? That is another initiative that Mr. Tata, I remember, also talked about in social media.
Correct. That startup, again, a social impact startup, the feeding was an auxiliary activity, but the main purpose of that startup is that we design and manufacture and collar stray dogs with these reflective collars that we've designed so that they're visible from a distance of 300 to 500 meters in the night when the road visibility is low, and that prevents roadkill. We've been operational since 2015, almost. It's been 7 years, and that startup is sort of on autopilot now, where we partner with larger NGOs and give them collars in bulk, because NGOs are the primary source of where the largest volume of dogs come in and the largest place where we can collar the largest number of dogs, basically. So Motorpaws is growing. We keep evolving the design of the collars to make it stray friendly, to make it cheaper for animal welfare activists, but still retain the quality, because that's something we refuse to compromise on. So we are still active.
Okay. It's time to let you go. But, Shantanu, for many of our viewers who are tuning in, you have a dream job. You're getting to work with someone like Mr. Ratan Tata. You're also getting to, to lead startups for initiatives that you really believe in. How did all of this happen? Being in the right place at the right time? Like how?
That's definitely one of the things. I won't deny it. But I think the people who end up in Mr. Tata's life generally are the people who are always working on something that impacts communities and impacts people who need help. So these kind of initiatives somehow always have a find a way into his life, and he loves them. He supports them, especially if they're coming from a young group of people. That is something he will always support. If you look at his startup portfolio, for example, they're all a bunch of young co-founders who believe in something so strongly that they make them believe in it also. So I think that it's a combination of all those factors.
Right. With that, Shantanu, thank you so much for giving time to ET now. Look forward to more interviews with you. And here's wishing you and Goodfellows all the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Have a nice day.